where you're actually going to find a lot of people like to come in and do a little fishing or diving. You can throw out a fishing line or a fishing net, or sometimes people go poking around where the rocks are and you'll find a lot of fish and octopus. You're going to find some of our beaches out here that don't have very many people on them. This community here is known as Ka'aava. Almost sounds like you're stuttering. It's K-A-A-A-W-A, Ka'aava. Coming up the school here to the left, we'll have the school sign that says Ka'aava Elementary. Cool. They got canoe rides, they've got an IMAX movie theater, and there's a lot of things to experience here. Now notice all the tikis at each entryway. These tikis are our spiritual guardians. Sometimes they call them tikis or keys, or some cultures call them totem poles. But they represent our spiritual guardians, and it's kind of a Polynesian thing. We put the guardians in the front of our villages to show people that are coming to visit that the place is protected. Now if somebody is coming in meaning to do some harm or cause some trouble, then they're going to have to deal with those spiritual guardians later. There is only 2 hotels on this side of the island. This one here to the left is the Courtyard Marriott. There's another one up ahead. So all of this inside here is the cultural center. Now I have been to Samoa. My children are half Samoan. And I'll tell you, when I came here to the Samoan village here, it was really like being in Samoa. And so this is how I actually, kind of taught my children about their culture, and it's something that's very important to us out here. No matter where you go, your culture is who you are. That's where your foundation is. So my children are half something, so it was my job to teach them, about their culture. So I'm thinking that the Tahiti village and the Tonga village and the Fiji villages are pretty much that way too. There's some trees over here. These trees next to us to the right, they're actually starting to lose their leaves. Like this one over here, it doesn't look very pretty. But this is just the time of the season, of the year where these plumeria or frangipani lose their leaves. There's actually some pink flowers coming up here to the right. These are plumerias. They're 5 petals. Have very light, delicate scent, but they come in whites and yellows and pinks and maroon and kind of a stripy color. And we like to put them into our hair. We like to sew them into lace. So plumeria or frangipani. If you take a look down the street here to the left-hand side, all the way at the end of the street, you're going to find a big, white, beautiful building here. That is the Lds Temple. Again, in 1919 it was built. It's down this street. This is the community of Laie. So if you go to the Polynesian Cultural Center, they actually have trams that kind of take you around in the back of the Cultural Center. They take you to show you where the Brigham Young University is. They'll bring you out here to the temple, to the visitor center here. It's pretty neat. Down the next lane, there's actually a little sign here next to the roadway. Pointing to the left, there's a place called the Hokilau Cafe. Now, at the Cultural Center, there was a Hokilau Marketplace, Hokilau Cafe down the street, and coming up here to the right is the Hokilau Beach. What is a Hokilau? Now, the Hokilau was actually a very, very popular event. It was a whole village event. It was something where the whole village would participate, and it would end up in a feast. So the hoki is to pull, and lau is a leaf. Hokie Lao, the pulling of the leaves. Now what would happen is early in the morning, the men of the village would actually take a big, huge fishing net. They would tie leaves to the edge of the net, and then they'd go out and they would set the net out there in the water. They would leave that net out there for the day, and then later on, everybody from the village would go down there, man, woman, and child. They would go down to the beach, and everybody would wade out there to the edge of the net where those leaves would be floating. So everybody would take hold of the net, and and somebody would yell Hokie, and everybody pull, Hokie, pull. So it's the pulling of the leaves or the pulling of the net. And whatever was caught in that net would be cooked up, and the whole village would participate in this feast. So it's a thing that everybody would say, if you don't work, you don't eat. Either you set the net, you pull the net, you cook the food, whatever. So, it was a village event. So here to the right, they've got base camp. Remember I was talking about the yellow signs with the black arrows? That means that they're filming something out here. Not quite sure what, but somewhere around here they're doing some filming. Here to the left-hand side is the Gunstock Ranch. The Gunstock Ranch is one of those places where you can do horseback riding. You could actually experience, well, a lot of times we have big parades here, and we'll have horseback riding units, and this would be where they would come and they would practice with their horses, get acquainted with the horses. The horses out here are very, very well trained, and so that's where you can rent one and use that for the parade route. So a lot of people prepare for that here. We are now in the community that we call Kahuku. There's a lot of different things that Kahuku is known for. First of all, it was actually known to be a plantation village. We had a sugar plantation out here, and we had a sugar mill to process the sugar. So we'll see the sugar mill coming up. From 1893 to 1970s, the Kahuku sugar mill was in operation. Now, sugar is now done. It's gone. There is no more commercial sugar being grown here in Hawaii. And the reason is because land and labor is cheaper elsewhere. So the sugar industry is packed up and left Hawaii. Now, in the 1970s, when this sugar mill shut down, there was actually an opportunity for the sugar employees to buy their plantation houses. So here to the right, these are some of the old plantation houses. Now, some of these houses are like 80 years old. Some of them have been nicely renovated, and some are actually for sale. There's a sign back there that says that the starting price for one of these homes is $400,000. That would be the ones to the right, not the ones to the left. The ones to the left are totally different. These are all brand new over here. They don't know the starting price to the left, $700,000. Another thing Kahuku is known for, football. Here to the left is the Kahuku Red Raiders. They are known for having some really awesome, huge Polynesian football players. A lot of these kids come from here, and they go off to play in the NFL. But they are known to have one of the toughest football teams every year. So these are always kind of the people to beat. Kahuku is also known for shrimp. We're going to be going past the shrimp farm. We cultivate our shrimp and prawns out here, and you'll see the ponds. But so because we got a lot of shrimp out here, there's a lot of shrimp trucks and shrimp shacks. And they're all good. I'm not going to say one is better than the next. Here to the front right, we've got one place called Giovanni's. Giovanni's has been featured on the Food Network and the Travel Channel in a lot of those popular travel brochures and magazines. So here's Giovanni's to the right. They say that you order your food, and then you go write your name on the truck. I believe they serve up shrimp in 3 different ways. But all of these different places out here, they're all good. I actually go to another place out here that they offer it, I think it may be 10 different ways. Shrimp in 10 ways, and plus, sometimes you're with people who can't or don't want to eat shrimps, and so they have other options too. But here's the old sugar mill. There was also another place, there's a yellow house in the back there. His yellow truck coming up. It says Mike Huli Chicken. I was talking about Huli Huli, it was rotisserie chicken. So this place was actually featured in diners, drive-ins, and dives. So like it was, oh, and by the way, this is brackish water. It's the salt and fresh water mixed. And all these little shrimp shacks along the side here, they're all good. is also a place where usually you would have a nice tide pool area, which is good for the kids to explore, but not today. So down this area here, look at how rough it is today. So this is not going to be a place to do some snorkeling and things here, but usually it's nice and calm. And then right here where there's the outer wall, usually that water is not crashing over that wall. So usually inside here it's all kind of a nice tide pool area. Kids look for little fish, little crabs, and little sea cucumbers and sea urchins and things like that. This area called Pupukea. To the right hand side, this area here is called Three Tables. And as the waves are coming in and out, you'll actually see the three flat rock formation. Those are the three tables. Sometimes people are surfing on the outside. They really need to know where those tables are because they don't want to smash their board up on the rocks. And my favorite beach of all time coming up, Waimea Bay. Now Waimea is one of those places when there are no big waves, really beautiful place to do a little swimming. But today it would be very, very rough. There's strong undercurrents, very easy to sweep you out. Say that if you take a few steps off of the sand into the water, you'd find kind of a little sandy ledge. Yeah, this is rough though. But you take a few steps into the water and you'd find like a sandy ledge, and you would drop 2 to 3 feet. You'd be up to your neck in water. Now if you get an opportunity when you go home and you have a little time to kind of relax, go on YouTube. You look up Waimea Bay, W-A-I-M-E-A. Look up Waimea Bay and you'll see some of the most awesome surf footage. There is a surf competition that isn't held every year. Last time we held this competition was in 2016. It's called the Eddy. It is a big wave surf competition. And if you take a look, you're going to see 55-foot waves online. By the way, Waimea Falls is to the left-hand side, Waimea Valley. On a better day, it's a good place to do a little hike to the backside where there's a waterfall. Sometimes people go swimming in the waterfall. You would not be able to do that today. When we've had a lot of rain, it would not be really a good idea to go into the valleys because then you might end up getting stuck in a flash flood. So this area over here, there's a big rock over here. This is called a jumping rock. And sometimes people will jump into the water from that rock. Now imagine in 2016, the waves were 30 foot taller than that rock. But this is where that girl is lost. They won't find her. Planting to harvesting, everything done by hand. If you've actually seen a whole pineapple, the top prickly leafy portion of the pineapple is called a crown. Now if you were to buy a pineapple, you would take it home, you'd leave it on your counter. You want it to ripen, you want it to get to that nice golden orangey color. And once it ripens, then you're ready to eat it. So then you would break off the crown, that prickly leafy portion, and you would take that crown, you can plant it directly into the ground, or you can plant it into a pot of good soil. Now that crown will start off at about the size of the palm of your hand. It'll start growing thicker and wider. I would just kind of describe it as almost turning into a nest. And it will grow up to knee height, planting and harvesting. Pineapple cannery shut down in 1994. That was the loss of many, many jobs. Again, because they're no longer packing and canning and exporting the pineapples. So in just a little bit, we're going to be pulling into the Dole Plantation. The Dole Plantation is, they will serve the Dole Whip ice cream there. But over here, they will serve it, it's a non-dairy soft serve, kind of a sherbety kind of ice cream. They will serve it in a cup, in a cone, or they will float it in pineapple juice. So the Dole Whip ice cream is gluten-free and vegan, and it's just something that a lot of people love here. Now there is also every other kind of Dole pineapple product, everything from pineapple bubblegum, pineapple gummy bears, pineapple chewy candies, pineapple hard candies. There's pineapple neck cushions, pineapple clothing, pineapple dishes, pineapple earrings, anything pineapple you can think of, they got in here. And then after this, we're going to be heading back into Waikiki.
So I'm at the Dole Plantation.
Pearl Harbor that they are going to attempt to start growing some oysters, but it would take quite a while to find out if it's actually something that can be done. Not so sure about the pollution and such in the harbor now. So we'd have to wait a while to see if it's successful. Alright, now we're going to be merging from the H2 onto the H1. The H1 is where every morning you'd have a lot of people trying to come from the west side, which is to the right, to get into downtown Honolulu. We go a distance of 20 to 25 miles to get to downtown Honolulu where the jobs are. It would take about an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. So in order to try to get everybody off the freeway, they've come up with this idea to build an above-ground rail system. Now after this overpass, this next one coming up here is the above-ground rail system. Now this rail comes from Kapolei. It will sweep around here to the left-hand side and should go all the way over to the Pearl Harbor and Hickam Air Force bases, and it's just outside of the airport now. And so this is something they're still working on. It's a big controversial mess right now. We call it the rail to nowhere because it's actually $3.3 billion over budget, and they have no idea how they're going to finish it. So right now, we don't know. It's a big mess. Pearl City here to the left is overlooking Pearl Harbor to the right. Pearl City is a very nice residential community here. Very close if you worked in Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is all of this over here. There's 4 different venues that's open to the public. If you had to pick or choose, I would actually start with the Arizona Memorial. The Arizona Memorial, the Arizona program would help you to understand as to why Japan attacked this here, and give ABC footage of the actual attack. And then they take you out to the Arizona Memorial itself on a little boat ride, and you'd be able to see the wreckage of the ship underneath your feet. The Arizona Memorial lost 1,177 men on December 7, 1941. Just that one ship, the USS Arizona. Now, if you had a little longer to spend out here, I would say the Battleship Missouri would be the second choice. The Battleship Missouri actually representing the ending of World War II after the signing of surrender documents on the deck of the ship September 2nd, 1945 in Tokyo Bay. So the Arizona representing America's entry into World War II, and the Battleship Missouri representing the ending of World War II. So those are what we call our bookends to World War II. There is also a Bowfin submarine nicknamed the Pearl Harbor Avenger. The Bowfin launched December 7, 1942. Was called the Pearl Harbor Avenger because that was her mission, to avenge what had happened here. Now that little submarine has earned a place of honor here at Pearl Harbor with a very impressive record of sinking 44 enemy ships. There is also Pacific Aviation Museum. They have authentic Japanese as well as American planes in World War II. They also have a number of aircraft that bring them up to date to the Desert Storm era. So if you're into aviation, the Aviation Museum is a very cool place to visit. So those are the 4 different venues